Welcome, everybody, to another great episode of the Alford Sports Talk Show. I'm Alan, and today we have a wonderful guest for you. We have none other than Sam Piazza from the documentary Because of Sam. He's going to tell us the story and a lot more. It's going to be a wonderful episode. So we'll start right there. Tell us about that great documentary, Because of Sam.
Well, years went by when Warmack first got to know me at PQ at my old location in Carrollwood, and she got to know about my family and me and my friends. And the fun part of it is just being honored to be part of that project, and it was really fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Nick did got the spotlight as well, so it was very cool actually.
That's awesome. You have a great friend. I had him on the show, Nick Alteri. Tell us about Nick Alteri.
Nick, he is my childhood best friend that I knew when I was 5 years old. He was 6, and it was back in 1994, and he and I were inseparable actually. We always did stuff together, and my mom taught him and his brother how to swim, Ray, Frank, and Joey. And Nick is a guy who has a good, level-headed personality, just like me. And he's been mentoring me, helping me through weight loss and everything else. So it's my boy. I love Nick to death because he's like a brother to me, and he's been, every time I would say I love you to him, but he has a hard time saying it back, but he does express it actually, but he doesn't say it quite often. So when I say to him like I love you, like brother way, like he has a place in my heart where he's like my best friend, my brother. So I always play the song called Blood Brothers by Luke Bryan, and brings me in, it gets me teared up, and think about him all the time and like a blessing.
Wow, yeah, that's a great friend, and we was honored to have him on the show. Now yourself, and for those who don't know, you have Down syndrome. How has it been for you personally dealing with Down syndrome?
Right.
Has anybody ever treated you any differently in life because of it, having Down syndrome?
Not really. I'm 35 years old now, but when I was growing up, I've been bullied before, back in elementary school and middle school. And so I went to Phillips Shore, Orange Grove, Mill Magnet. That's where my dad used to teach at. He retired from teaching for 22 years. And so my dad is a really special guy to me, and he's been my biggest influencer. And but regarding to that, like a lot of people, when people see people with Down syndrome or autism or cerebral palsy or whatever your disability is, it's like you just can't just judge somebody and make assumptions without knowing their story, because it's like sometimes people kind of take it the wrong way, don't know how to handle the situation, because for example, Nick can have his short temper and he's always with his attitude. But me, I'm more calm, but when people start pushing my buttons more and more, and that's where my hot temper comes in. But for David, he's more relaxed kind of guy, because he's like cool, level-headed, laid-back kind of person. But it just had to make sure like you're handling the situation the right way. Just have the right tools to say like, okay, I heard you, let's move on. You got to handle the situation a lot better when dealing with police. I spoke at Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office regarding to it, and they named me the moral citizen of Hillsborough County. They gave me that plaque, and that was really honorable thing that I had. So it's mainly like that actually.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and you're absolutely right that you you got to learn more about the person before you jump to conclusions and judgments. And most people cannot even hold a job for a year or two. You've been at your employer now going on 12 years. Tell us about that.
When I first started, I kind of had my first volunteering job was at the YMCA first, and then years went by. My uncle George, he's my dad's brother. He used to be the investor and part owner for PQ, Outback, including Bunfish Grill. And so he knew the head corporate people. So my original boss, Andy, knew my brother-in-law, Jason, knows Joy Ferrante, and all these connections happened and got me a job at PQ in Kaywood. So I went through 10 years prior to that, and then when I got mistreated unfairly at the Kaywood location, and then they gave me the opportunity to work at PQ in Waters Avenue, and I love the place there. Carlos is one of my favorite person in the world. Sometimes we butt heads, but that's like brothers do all the time. But shout out to my boss, Chris Smith, as well. He's the new operating director there. So Don, Erica, Andrea, Sydney, all those people that I have been working with all these years. And shout out to Andy Sandstone, Drew Zares, Michael Keller, Jack Cleveland. Those guys were the original OGs with me in the Kaywood location.
Yes, are they one person didn't treat you well, but it sounded like the Kaywood location is doing great. One place that I think is treating you outstanding is GiGi's Playhouse. Talk about GiGi's Playhouse and the experience being a part of that great organization.
Being with GiGi's Playhouse has been really great, actually. My best friend Nick told me a little bit about it, and I got interested in it, and I kept going. Years went by, and that's where I first met my first real girlfriend, Valerie Smith, and she had been together for about 7 years now. And so we have the cooking programs, we got adult programs, Fantastic Friends, we got people who have the Teen-tastic, and so the best chef of all that we love working with is Chef Rob Rawlings, and we love that guy to death. Me, Nick, and David, we're like his favorite trio, and he's one of the coolest guys that we ever hang out with at Glory Days, and it was really fantastic.
Yeah, it is, and definitely they have some great leadership. You have Amanda Cordero. Now it's going to be Amanda Buccalo, as well as her husband, Michael Buccalo, who's going to be taking over. Talk about, the two Amandas and Michael.
All right. Well, Amanda Cordero was our president before, and she took me under her wing as one of her self-advocates to speak on behalf of GiGi's Playhouse, and got to be mentored by her. That was pretty awesome. And we have the outreach committee, Ms. Amanda Buccalo. She's been really, really great to me, Valerie, Nick, Lindsay, David, and Mary. That's the only 6 that we have. Buccalo, he's like family. And he's now our new president of 2025 for GiGi's. And kudos to him for being our president, and if he's watching this, I want to tell him thank you for everything that you have done for GiGi's and being part of this family.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have some great sports affiliation. Talk about your love for the Bucs and the Rays.
Well, I love the Bucs and the Rays. I love all 4 teams. We have a new wide receiver. He was number 19th. He's from Ohio State. And I can't wait to see how fast he runs, because he's one of the fastest wide receivers that we have right now under Chris Godwin, and also with Mike Evans. I know Kevin Cash, the manager for the Tampa Bay Rays. I met him at a golf gala for LJ Pinella, Derek and Michelle run. I always have Nick speak for them, and I hope someday he might have me speak for the gala. This is the best opportunity. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and definitely somebody who unfortunately is no longer with us, Uncle Mike. Talk about Uncle Mike and how great of a person he was for people who never met Uncle Mike to you.
My Uncle Mike, he's been real great. He's always good to me, actually, when I was growing up. And when I got to go to Fort Lauderdale, he would take me to McDonald's. He would take me out fishing, and it was the best moment of my life with him. And he's been watching me growing up so much, and he's been truly amazing. I with colon cancer, but now he's up in heaven with God, and I hope he's watching over me, seeing how many things I'm going through with my life. So my family is always important to me, and also my friends in my social life here, my girlfriend.
Yeah, definitely rest in peace to a great man, Uncle Mike there. And is any last words you want to give to anybody who, is dealing with Down syndrome, or maybe someone that might have Down syndrome? What are your thoughts on how people should view people with Down syndrome when they meet someone with the same condition?
Well, Down syndrome is called trisomy 21. It's a chromosome. If you have a son or daughter or nephew or niece or grandson or granddaughter that has Down syndrome, treat them like they're human beings first, and see where their expectations are. Because for example, when I was growing up, I kind of had to learn how to read and write, and I had to learn from English and Spanish. These are the gross motor skills that people need to learn, because they don't grasp on things that normal people will do. They may act out, they may act differently. If you were a parent with a child with a disability, with Down syndrome, it's okay to be scared and don't know how to get resources from it. Learn what Down syndrome is, and then, because they may have health problems. For example, my best friend David, he has celiac disease his whole life, and he's been on this gluten-free diet for so long. If he eats something or drinks something that has gluten, he will get an ear infection and also a sinus infection. And you have to be aware of that too, because they may have trouble with heat, with dehydration, or they might have acid refluxes or open heart surgeries. You gotta learn how to, grasp from that, because make sure you're getting all the resources first, and then once you get to that, you have a support group, and you get a friend group, and then all of a sudden friends become best friends, and they consider family, and they will have meaningful, longing friendships, and they may get a girlfriend and boyfriend. They have that relationship. You have to set goals. If they're planning on getting married, have kids on their own, live on their own, or maybe friends to go out and find an apartment and live together. You gotta have that support system regarding to your parents, because you gotta have that support system. You will have great expectations. You can get careers. For example, Nick and I work at PQ, and also downtown in public defenders. Many people might have careers in Publix or engineering or whatever, or in the warehouse, and you get to where a point where you gotta have the right tools, gotta have the right materials, because sometimes miscommunication is a little hard for people with disabilities, because if they're hearing one thing and someone is saying another thing and you don't know how to interpret that, that's called miscommunication. But sometimes multitasking is like the worst thing to have. You're been pulled like through so many places, and it's hard, and you don't have people to help you to set you aside where, okay, I need you to do this task first. Let's set you a list and then go through what you need to do, and that's how you learn in the real world out there. Like, I get paycheck, and every time I get a paycheck, I just get excited, but I don't actually show it out in public because I want to be more mature about it. When I'm at home, I will dance or something, or sing top of my lungs with a song. Like one of my favorites from NSYNC, just got paid my money. That's why people get excited when they get a paycheck. You can go off, have a great time on the weekends, and it's best of life. Best of both worlds.
That's right. Well said. Definitely outstanding. Hey, it's definitely an honor to have you here. Sam Piazza on the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Fantastic. Really, really honored. And we really appreciate you joining us here on the Allen Alford Sports Talk Show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.